All right, don't say I'm never positive about this series, because today was a fantastic W for IndyCar. This was exactly what it needed to be, and I sure hope that this is not the last Texas Motor Speedway race. I said it last year, and last year's race had nothing on this race. Start to finish, I think this was one of the best oval products IndyCar has put on track in a long time. I wouldn't be able to maybe put a timeline on it. It was almost a combination. What was crazy was it was almost a combination of some of those old 90s Michigan 500s, and then at the end it looked like it was 2007 again, with a sort of pack race, but not really a pack race. It was really borderline from the pack racing standpoint. I guess we'll talk about that a bit later. But I think green flag to checkered flag, this was what you want. This is what IndyCar oval racing should be. This is the product IndyCar should be pushing. There should be more of it, and there should be more of you in those grandstands. I'm going to call you guys out. All right, I understand why people have not come here in the past. The product has not been on point. The product today was as good as it's ever been, all right? So when they come back here next year, everybody watching this video, buy a ticket, find a way to get out here, take a plane, train, automobile, whatever you need to do, get here, because this is the kind of racing that we need to be supporting. This is the kind of race that we need to support. This is the kind of track we need to support. And these are the kind of tracks that we need more of, the type of racing that we need more of. You want to separate yourself from Formula One, this is how you do it. This is about as far from a Formula One race as you could possibly get, and frankly, it's about as far from a NASCAR race as you could possibly get. This was a uniquely IndyCar product, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. So, we'll talk about that here in just a second. Let's take a look at the finishing results from the PPG 375 at Texas Motor Speedway for 2023. 7 cars on the lead lap, and they're the first 7 on your screen. Joseph Newgarden goes back-to-back under caution, but it was a hell of a duel with Pato O'Ward. If you watched my video yesterday, I told you that those two would be the ones to beat. I think I know a little something about this oval racing, but Newgarden and O'Ward, great duel, 1 and 2. O'Ward his second place on the season. Alex Palou in third on old tires, and we're going to talk about tire strategy in a bit. I thought that was a great result for Alex Palou. You'll hear from David Malukas, who is looking like the oval meister, in fourth later on in this video. Scott Dixon in P5 from a front row starting spot. Scott McLaughlin came from a couple laps down at one point, really charged from the middle of the field. He looked great at points, second place finisher last year. And Colton Herta rounds out the lead lap. He kind of got hampered by a strategy call to go on old tires. That was a tough one. Marcus Ericsson in P8 for car number 8. The first car 1 lap behind the race. Callum Ilott, what a great top 10 for Juncos Hollinger Racing, and the guy who's a very good quote, but I might add. Helio Castroneves, who you'll also hear from later today, rounds out that top 10. Rinus VK in 11th place. How about this? Give a shout out to Augustine Canapino. 12th place, top rookie. This guy, I think he might be the real deal, folks. I think you Argentinians know what you're talking about with the racing. Ed Carpenter, lucky 13th for Ed, the last car to complete only 249 laps. Romain Grosjean was the one who brought out the yellow with a crash at the end of the race. Benjamin Peterson was the second highest rookie, and he's another driver you'll hear from. Will Power had a disaster of a day in 16th spot, just way off the pace all day long. I'm curious about what that was. Didn't get to talk to him, unfortunately, after the race. We did get to talk to Simon Pagenaud, and I think he has an interesting perspective. Jack Harvey, 18th. Christian Lundgaard, 19th. Tough day for Rahal Letterman, Lanigan. Connor Daly, man, oh man, I felt bad for Connor. A driver who's so good on these oval tracks typically just was way off the pace, 4 laps down. Ditto for Santino Ferrucci. He had some trouble getting out of the pits at one point. I'm curious if that was a clutch issue. I thought it was a drive line there, but he kept going. Alexander Rossi lost 7 laps, probably had race-winning pace at one point, 22nd after colliding with his former car, Kyle Kirkwood, in the pits. Devlin DeFrancesco and Graham Rahal, very lucky that those boys are both okay, especially Graham Rahal, who went over the back of Devlin, and thankfully that car stayed on the ground. I think that was the miracle of today. Ditto Stingray Robb, also okay after a pretty scary crash. He did everything right. The car just folded over on him and took him into the inside wall. Felix Rosenquist from the pole to 26. What a disappointment for him. Kyle Kirkwood, I think damage from that collision with Alexander Rossi kept him out of the good finishing spot. And Takuma Sato, who was my pick for the top finishing Honda, ends up being last overall in 28th position. So we got some interviews. I think I teased most of them in the finishing results, but after these interviews, I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on this race because I have a lot of them.
Man, beautiful chaos. That's how I explain it. What a blast. I actually felt like a video game. It really did. It was so much fun. Everybody was so aggressive, but, like just barely giving you enough room to just be like, please give me this position, but like I also might tap you. But no, I loved it. It was so much fun, and we were in the front racing with amazing drivers. I mean, every single person that passed me is just another big name. You got Roman Grosjean, who has a nickname of the Phoenix, and then you guys got Dixon, and you got Power, then you got Palou, and I'm like, man. And then there's just little Dave the spud on the block, just going inside. I was having a blast.
Did you think you had a chance at him at the end there?
There's always a chance, and, it always just comes by what decision you make. Do you take the high line? Do you take the low line? Do you maybe defend a little bit? And I made the split-second decisions that we could. But it was tough. I mean, Pato and Newgarden, they had the same new tires as us, and their pace has been a little bit quicker than us throughout the whole weekend. But, I mean, they're battling. If you get lucky, maybe you can get it. But they're smart. They were making sure that it's only a 2-wide race and not a 3-wide.
Yes, there's always positive. And I've been actively working on that for years and years and years. It's part of my meditation work, but there is always positive. The positive is we finished the race, which is much better than St. Pete. Helio finished P10, that's really good for the team, and the crew did a great job in the pit stops. Communication during the race was good, and the whole weekend was actually enjoyable. I feel like we actually worked really well with my engineer. It's definitely that second year knowing each other helps. However, you can't be satisfied with what we did this weekend. The car is slow. Simple as that. It handles okay. So we got to figure out why we're slow. It's a new chassis, so we're going to look at that. There's a lot of things to look at, but it can't be that slow, and it's definitely 17th. For feeling good about our performance is definitely not where we want to be as a team.
So from the fans' perspective, the fans looking at social media, they loved it, the show. Do you think IndyCar made the right changes? Is there anything that you'd like to see done to this package, or do you think they pretty well got it spot on?
No, I think they got it spot on. It's a tough track, and despite that, they managed to get the package right with the downforce level. I was so damn slow. I saw so many good passes from my side of things. Pato making some great moves, and Newgarden as well. So I'd like to be joining them. We're going to work on that. But definitely great job from IndyCar making this track, which has been very difficult for us, a good racing track.
You stayed out on that last restart. What was the thought process there? Was it just, and how tough was that on old tires? It looked real tough.
Yeah, well, that was the only way for us to move forward. And I have to say, it was actually not that bad once we got a little cleaner air. But tires definitely making a little bit of a difference. But we did a good job. When they call it, like, you guys call it. I'm not gonna call because I'm already very busy here. They did an amazing job.
The fans seem real happy with the product you guys put on the track from the driver's seat. How was it? Did it meet your expectations, or would you like to see some improvements?
Yeah, it was absolutely the right call. Kudos to the IndyCar Technical Commission to be able to small things, not a lot, small things, and be able to produce a fun race.
That looked intense out there. Rookie, tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy. Our main goal was just to finish a race, which we did. Finished P15, and yeah, I just learned so many things that race. Like my first IndyCar oval race here, we had a great qualifying. It's crazy how these races, the flow changes so much, but I think the whole team's pretty ecstatic, and I definitely learned a lot and look forward to the next oval and the next race at Long Beach.
What'd Super Tech say to you?
We had a great conversation before the race. He just said, stay low, don't be afraid to push it even if it feels a little bit uncomfortable, and just some small inside jokes, but pretty special to have him here.
Okay, so just in general, I loved how this race played out. Like I said, I think IndyCar completely nailed this. The fact that they didn't apply PJ1, Newgarden mentioned it in his post-race debrief. It was huge. I think the fact that the PGA 1 is finally kind of going away on this racetrack is enormous for this racetrack for Indy cars. But the downforce tweaks definitely helped the racing. There's no doubt about it. What IndyCar did to change the cars clearly worked. And Joseph also mentioned that he experimented in the high line because of Jimmy Johnson last year, and that he thinks that that's a big reason why a lot of other drivers did that. And so thanks, Jimmy. We got a second lane going. The top lane practice yesterday, thankfully we didn't get any rain that washed that off, though there was Goodyear rubber on the track. That didn't seem to affect very much. I mean, this race was great. The cars could run close together. They could pass. Key moment was the fact that they could pass lapped cars. We've seen so often, and I even asked Joseph about it in the post-practice press or post-race press conference, was that you see kind of a jam happen, especially like Indianapolis Gateway, flatter tracks, mind you, not a traditional second groove racetrack, but you even saw it here at Texas where it was tough for leaders to pass the lap cars. Here, at one point, there were only 2 cars on the lead lap, and in fact, Pato O'Ward, had it gone green, might have lapped the damn field, and that was unbelievable. But the battle in traffic, I gotta tell you, this is some of the best IndyCar racing. This particular moment I thought was the best IndyCar racing on an oval we have seen in a very, 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 very long time. I cannot stress how good this was. When you had a long green flag stint, you had strategy, you had a pit stop or 2, I think, and Pato chased down Newgarden and passed him in lap traffic. That was about as classic as it gets. I mean, if you like classic IndyCar racing, that was it. That was classic IndyCar racing. Now another thing that's classic, I guess, for some people is the pack racing. I don't think this was a traditional pack race. I mean, when you have more grip, guys are going to get closer. That's just the name of the game. You got a lot of tight competition. You got a lot of good cars. And when you get them all on fresh tires there at the end, they don't have to worry about a stint, a long stint. If you put fresh tires on with 15 laps to go, everybody's going to go yard, right? So that didn't surprise me that they ran that close. But you even saw at the end of the race, Newgarden and O'Ward had the 2 best cars. And even though they had a tire advantage at that point, they pulled away from the other cars that weren't as good throughout the rest of the race. And it was going to be settled between them. Is it unfortunate that the race ended under yellow? Yes. Should IndyCar change the rules because the drivers can't stay out of the wall? No. I mean, here's the thing. Romain Grosjean made some contact with some guys, Newgarden particularly going into turn 1. Newgarden definitely dodged the question when he was asked in the press conference about that. But, look, the guy who was trying to crash towards the end of the race finally accomplished it. Is it unfortunate that the race didn't end under green? Is it unfortunate that we didn't get the close finish that we got last year? Sure, that's going to happen. IndyCar fans want pure racing. The response from the fans on social media today, I think, told the story. This is the product that people want. Continue to provide this. Find a way. Let's go to Michigan. Hell, I'll say what Connor Daly did. Let's go to Las Vegas. Screw it. Let's do it, because I think you could have a safe race, at a track like that. Maybe Atlanta's a little too fast, but I think, hey man, this right here, and frankly, I would love the Indy 500 to look like this. If they could figure out a way, maybe not the side-by-side, because it's impossible, but the way this race played out with the comers and goers, the speed, the strategy, the long green flag runs, the ability for someone to shine. You saw 2 drivers shine. You saw Joseph, you saw Pato. They were the ones who were shining today. They were the ones who dueled it out. That's how you build stars. You have stars establish that they are the best ones, and the package here at Texas allowed that, but it also didn't make the racing boring. Start to finish, I thought this was a fantastic race. I cannot say that enough. I'm so happy. I'm saddened that we don't get to see another one of these for a whole nother 365 days. I hope and there are aero changes this year at the Indy 500, by the way. So hopefully we'll get a little closer to what we saw here at Indy, and hell, we could have a real good show at the Indianapolis 500. So we're about to get blown away by a thunderstorm, so I'm gonna sign off, but I'm sure the comments section, the debate, and the discussion about this one will be going on for a long time. As far as I'm concerned, this was an all-time classic here at Texas Motor Speedway. Maybe not an all-time classic finish, but if you didn't like that, maybe IndyCar racing isn't the thing for you. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.